And away we go. NFL schedule release day here on Foxborough Rush. Travis Thomas here with Keagan Stiefel away in his humble abode. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing all right. Yeah, I've been tucked away in this this basement for months at this point. Yeah. So excited to actually talk to somebody. People don't come down here too often.
Just months. Just you, PlayStation, and Hot Pockets. Just living it up, my friend. Glad you took some time out between your bagel bites in your basement to hang with us here on Foxborough Rush, because it's NFL schedule release day, my friend. Now, let's start with the Patriots, because nothing is out officially yet, Keegs.
Right.
But we see. I mean, this stuff is being leaked out like a Lil Wayne mixtape in 07. Like, what's going on? All these schedules, releases are being, leaked out. So we have a ton of them out around the league. We know all the international games, for example, but we don't really know set in stone the Patriots schedule yet. Here are some rumors that I got. Raiders week 1 at home here in Foxborough. Week 4 at home here against the Panthers. And then Monday night, December 1st, hosting the Giants. So those are all rumored. Do you have anything on your rumor mill in terms of the schedule so far?
Yeah, I mean, we saw that Buffalo and New York would be playing each other in Week 18, which means the Patriots will be playing the Dolphins, obviously divisional matchups that week. So we don't know where. I'm sure the Patriots are hoping that one's down in Miami, meaning that the Dolphins come up here early in the season when it's 140 degrees on the field down in Miami. So they still have their fingers crossed for that one, but we do know that they will be playing Miami in Week 18 to wrap up the season. Potentially a big matchup. I mean, if you're looking for a wild card spot, these two teams kind of seem like they're in the same boat where they're not going to be competing for the division probably, but depending on how things shake out in the other divisions inside the conference, they could be competing for a wild card spot.
Here's some facts that we do know. I thought this was interesting. I actually got this off the Patriots website. The Patriots won't be taking any long trips this season. They'll travel an average of 1,500 miles, Keegans, for their 8 road games, the 6th fewest miles of any NFL team. I thought that was interesting. They only travel outside of the Eastern time zone for 2 games, Tennessee and New Orleans. In fact, New Orleans is the furthest point west they'll go, Keegan. They don't have any Western time zone games at all on the schedule. And we know this is an easier schedule as well in the NFL. So, I mean, listen, as far as we'll see who plays when, where, and what, but it's an easy schedule. We already know that going in, Keegs. That's great news.
Yeah, I mean, Nashville technically being in the Central time zone, that's about as close as possible as it gets to the Eastern time zone without being in it. So the travel aspect of that obviously isn't too bad for them. They don't go too far south. They don't go too far west. So in terms of the traveling that we talked about last year, right? They went to Arizona and London, or maybe it was Germany last year, one of the two. They were all over the place, right? Yeah. They were on the West Coast just as much as they were on the East Coast. So this year they don't have that excuse. I think it's going to be nice for us, the people who have to cover these games. We're hoping 1 o'clock East Coast, make our lives easier. Yeah. We've already seen 2 primetime games, though. That Giants one in Week 13 is a Monday night game. So there's a primetime one for you, and then they have another one. I'm sure they'll have 1 or 2 more that are added to the schedule. So a little bit different than what we've seen in recent seasons.
I'm actually looking at something from sharpfootballanalysis.com, so I want to credit them. Here are the easiest schedules for this season, Keegs. San Francisco 49ers, number 1, which is a little surprising to me. Patriots, number 2 on this list. Saints, Falcons, and Bills. Patriots, number 2 on that list for easiest schedule. And look, a lot of this stuff is opinion-based. But in my research, looking this up to talk to you about, the Patriots are on everyone's list in terms of easiest schedule. So to your point, I mean, look, this team needs it. I still, even though I think this will be a better season, even though I know we both love the Mike Vrabel hire, and I know you liked, not love the draft class, same here. I liked, not love, but we'll see how it pans out. But everything's really, the momentum is in the Patriots' favor. I like the direction everything's going, Keegan, with them. And an easy schedule, I'll take. It almost feels like an icing on the cake for this team because they need every break they can get to have a better season. I think they're much better than 4 games, but I don't want to go crazy here, Keegan, and say this is going to be a wild card team. Not that it's not possible, but if I'm looking at, 7, 8 wins, that's still an improvement from last season. And if
Right.
an easier cakewalk of a schedule can help us get there, why the hell not, right?
Yeah, I mean, we see it every year. It helps to stink the year before because if you're in fourth
Yes.
place, you get the fourth place schedule. So, and then we see teams like, Houston, they finished in a good spot last year, and then they come back this year and they have a harder schedule, and they have to play Kansas City in the regular season, and they end up losing that game in devastating fashion. So the schedule stuff, for as much flack as I give it, because I think the NFL deciding all of a sudden that this is another key date on the calendar when they already have 50, it's a little ridiculous. Like, who really cares about the schedule release? But it does mean a lot when you get the opponents that come out, because and these come out months in advance. You know them the day the season ends, your next year's opponents. So just looking at it right now, I mean, Baltimore and Buffalo, those are tough away games, but then you've got Cincy, who stunk last year, Miami, obviously, in division, the Jets in division, New Orleans, Tampa, and Tennessee. Those are 3 out of 4 of those games you should win, I think, those non-divisional games. So not a tough away schedule, and then you've got the harder teams on your schedule you've got at home. Cleveland's going to be better this year, obviously. Pittsburgh's always decent. Atlanta should find a way to compete this year, but those are home games. And then you've got Carolina, you've got the Giants, you've got the Raiders. Winnable games, like you said. So I think their divisional games are going to be the important ones. Can they split those and then split their non-divisional games, sit somewhere around 8-9 wins? At this point, with what the AFC is, you might be able to sneak into in a wild card spot. So definitely it pays to have stunk as much as they did last year because they get these easier matchups. If they finished in third or second, we'd be talking about a 4 or 5 win team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So lucky schedule.
Yeah, and I know this too. I mean, you went through all the opponents away and home, and the away games, I completely agree with you. Obviously, Ravens is going to be tough. Bengals, we'll see. But Saints, Titans, both situations very similar to New England, trying to rebuild and get back to respectability there. Buccaneers, I'll give benefit of the doubt because they did win the division. We'll see. But home games, look, some of those teams you even mentioned where you said, it could be tough, like a Pittsburgh Steeler, I'm not convinced. I mean, that's a winnable game. And we can play this game once the schedule comes out. We'll do this again, Keegan, till we're blue in the face. But I'm looking at a Steelers team. Who the hell's your quarterback? Like, what am I supposed to fear? Aaron Rodgers, if that's who you end up with? I'm not fearing that at all. I watched Aaron Rodgers stink with a better roster. I would argue the Jets roster offensively is better than anything the Steelers have. And he stunk. So that's a winnable game, especially at home here in Foxborough. The Browns, you said, would be improved, you would think. I don't necessarily think that either. I think the Browns could pull a Brown. Panthers stink, although they did get hot towards the end of last season. And then you said the Falcons, which we'll see. I don't believe in that franchise either. Like, we don't know what Michael Penix is going to be. All of a sudden, you could look up, and this could be a wild card team. I wouldn't bet on it, Keegan. I think if I were to bet the Patriots when this schedule's out in concrete, I would consider over on the win total, which last I looked was 6.5. Can you find 7 wins on this schedule? You could probably find more, which we just laid out. But that's the only bet I'd be willing to do, and I could probably sleep at night, Keegs. I don't know if I could bet on this team to make the wild card, even with an easy schedule, because it is the NFL. It's so funny to me as you and I talk about this, and I know we're both guilty of it. This schedule comes out, we're going to sit down, and we're going to go through it. Win, loss, loss, win, 2 in a row here, win, win. But the reality is, and you know this, Keegs, we don't know Shaq because injuries happen, teams with expectations were supposed to be good aren't, teams who stunk last season are good. You just don't know anything, do you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just about to make this point, so I'm glad you brought it up. But if you look at the home schedule, they have one more home game than they have an away game, so that's always nice. But a lot of these teams are talented, but they haven't been good. Cincinnati was the prime example of this last year. All the talent in the world on the offensive side of the ball, couldn't stop a nosebleed on defense. Miami has been among the most talented teams in the NFL over the last 4 or 5 years. They just can't get over the hump. They can win regular season games, and if they do squeak into the playoffs, they end up blowing it to Kansas City or whoever. So talent doesn't necessarily mean anything when you get to November and December. It's about how you gel as a team. Can you stay healthy? What does your schedule look like from that point on? So obviously, this goes without saying, but the way we feel about their schedule today when it drops at 8 p.m. versus the way we feel about it in mid-September, early October,
Yeah.
two very completely different things. So you got to wait on it a little bit there because you want to see these outside aspects that we've talked about. But just in terms of talent, some talented teams are going to be playing. But if we like the hire the way we say we do with this coaching staff and the additions they made this offseason, they're talented too. It's hard to say. It's a new thing compared to what we've seen the last 2 years, but they've got just as much talent as some of these other teams. It's really about how they put it together.
Oh, well, I'm going to give you a hot take here, and I wonder what you think. If Vrabel gets this team this season into the postseason, he is coach of the year. And I don't give a damn what anyone else did. It doesn't even matter. If you take this team from – can we just talk about the elephant in the room? With Gerard Mayo last season, this is rock bottom. Like, literally, Vrabel is walking into rock bottom for the Patriots right now and building from there. Nowhere to go but up, right? If he takes this team to the postseason, he's coach of the year, Keegs. And I don't give a damn what Ben Johnson or Dan Campbell or any of these great coaches, Tomlin, all of them, whoever you name, Harbaugh, both of them. If Vrabel takes this team to the postseason year one, this guy's coach of the year. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and I'll throw something else at you, too. I think last year they were the least talented team in football. Just in terms of guys who should be in the NFL, they weren't up to par.
Yep.
With what they've done this offseason, and I think a lot of it was Mike Vrabel. We've talked about the fact that Mike Vrabel is the alpha. He's the big dog. If he says something, it's going to go. But if they make the playoffs, and let's say Christian Gonzalez makes a jump, he's all pro, right?
Ooh,
Drake May back into the Pro Bowl.
Right.
Maybe they have an award winner of some sort, an offensive or defensive rookie of the year, something like that. Elliott Wolf for executive of the year. And I know you don't like the guy.
I don't.
And I've had my thoughts about the way he's done things. I think he got put in a tough situation after Belichick's departure.
Yeah.
But he advanced those ill feelings toward him with the way he went about the extensions going into last season. But if they have some of these things break their way and they make the playoffs this year, just looking at the roster on paper, they are so much better than they were last year. They're a competent team. He gave them competent talent to go out there and try to win football games. So should be in the conversation. We'll obviously see how other teams go about things. New York, the Giants, Joe Shane, for some reason, has more buddies in the media than anybody else.
Yeah.
He's been done a lot of favors recently, but I think Elliott Wolf is in consideration for sure.
Yeah, his favors are he still has a job. That's his favors. Like, he should have been fired 3-4 years ago. I do want to say this to you because you're a gambling man like me. Some books, Keegan, have the Patriots minus 200 to make the playoffs. That scares the bejeebies out of me. You would think, as a degenerate gambler that I am, I would say, oh, they're a lock for the playoffs. When you start using terms like lock and you're looking at odds like minus 200 and you're thinking there's no way they don't, that's exactly when you know what hits the fan. I want no parts of betting this team to make the playoffs. Although I do see a route to there. We just laid it out. I would take over on the win total, though. Minus 200, Keegs. It should give you cause to pause that Vegas loves the Patriots to make the postseason.
The Celtics were a far and away huge favorite to make it to the finals, come out of the East, and look what happens. It takes one.
Just one.
You know, I'm not even going to put it out there on the Patriots side, but Jason Tatum, we just saw it, right? Goes down with an Achilles, and I'm sure they're getting plus money tonight just to win a game, let alone make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So we see things happen every year. Oh, wait, happened with Brady. He went down with a knee injury.
Yeah.
They were coming off an undefeated season. They were the clear favorites to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Didn't make the playoffs. So it's early with those numbers. Unless you're getting plus, 750, you're getting 8-9 to 1 odds.
Of course.
Then you'll throw some money on it. But if you're getting minus money, or even if it's plus 200, I think something that BetMGM, they're right around plus 200.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah.
I'll stay far away from that until I have a real idea of what this team looks like on the field.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of plus 155s to make the playoffs. But again, I'm with you. I'm not going to make that bet. I'll bet win total, and you still may have to sweat that out. Because at worst, let's have this combo before we move off the Pats. At worst, I actually think this is probably a 6 or 7 win team if things don't go well, okay? Like, I think Vrabel improves you that much. And I think what they have done this offseason is enough for a couple more wins. But if you're betting over 6.5 on the win total, for example, Keegan, hell, you may already be sweating that out. The last thing I want to do is bet this team to make the postseason, especially at these odds we're talking about, where you're not going to make any money if they do anyways.
Right.
It's just not worth the squeeze to me. I do, before we move on to the rest of the NFL and some of the other games who have leaked, I want to ask you about these games being leaked, because I'm from the old school. I used to watch the schedule release in prime time back in the day when it wasn't leaked. Maybe you heard rumors about the opener on the Thursday night or something,
right.
But all these games were not leaked. I hate this. All these leaks have ruined schedule releases. They've ruined the draft for me, where you know the draft picks before they even come out, Keegan. Where are you with things being leaked? Is it just the world we live in, and am I just an old man yelling at clouds, or do you agree with me?
Yeah, no, I agree with you in terms of it would be a lot more fun if we all got to see it together.
Yes.
Like, you know, there are so many NFL fans who aren't on Twitter, and they're not online, and they're not seeing these things in advance. So they're kind of behind what other people are, people who, you know, this is their life, and it's the number one thing they look forward to. So, and with that aspect, I don't like it. Yeah. But coming from the, you know, journalism school guy, these guys, that's the business, right? If you're not first, you're last. You're missing an opportunity to advance. So I get it from their point of view. I'll never get upset at Adam Schefter for tweeting out that Cam Ward's going to be the number one pick 7 minutes before it happens. Because at the end of the day, who cares? But I think when the NBA did the embargo on picks 2 years ago in the NBA draft, it was definitely more fun watching. You knew Vic was going to go number one, but who's going to go two? Is it going to be Scoot? Is it going to be Brandon Miller? It's stuff like that. That's more fun from a consumer standpoint. But the NFL, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah. They can let these guys leak things. They can still set up an 8 p.m. schedule release, and every team's going to throw out a video with you know, some creative aspect to it, and they're still going to make their money off of it. They're still going to get the sponsorships off of it, and they don't have to worry about losing an audience. Where the NBA, like we've seen, their viewership has gone down the last 3 years. They're looking for anything and everything to get people involved into what they're doing. The NFL's king, though, so they'll let people skirt by a little bit with leaking things, and they don't really have to worry about it because they're going to make their money no matter what.
No, that's a fact. There's no denying that. So what about some other notable games from around the league that have leaked or come out and been definitive that is happening? Here's one. Maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment here, Keegs, but this morning it broke. Chiefs and Cowboys on Turkey Day, and I couldn't be more happy because there's nothing better than eating that wonderful turkey and stuffing and gravy and mashed potatoes and everything that comes, and that ham, everything that comes with Thanksgiving, and watching the Cowboys lose. Usually, they serve them up sacrificial lambs that you know they're going to win. But this time, you get Patrick Mahomes with this Cowboy team. He's going to slaughter them just like that turkey on my plate, and I love it, Keegs. I couldn't be happier to watch the Cowboys get beat down on Turkey Day. Any other games that stood out to you?
I mean, that was the first one I thought of when you just mentioned that. Mike Florio wrote a story about it, and he was on the button. That's going to break every regular season viewership rating record that you could imagine. They're going to get 60 million people watching that game. So, you know, the NFL knows what they're doing. Beyond that, any NFC North matchup, I think week one ends on Monday night with Ben Johnson's first home game, and it's against the Vikings. So Bears-Vikings, Monday Night Football to end week one. One of the oldest rivalries in the sport. That's the kind of stuff that gets you going. You know what I mean? You're excited to see these two great offenses. Chicago's defense should be better. Minnesota's defense was good last year, obviously, at points, and then they fell off a cliff. But that's a game where on Monday night, when you just want to watch an over, you just want to see 54.5 hit, that's the game you're looking for right there. So that's going to be fun for me. And then late in the season, these divisional matchups in Week 18, we're going to see playoff teams or teams make the playoffs. We're going to see teams lose, get bumped out of the playoffs. Week 18 is always fun when they make sure that it's all division matchups. It's the second matchup of the season that you've seen this team. It's a really bad home game for some, a really bad away game for others. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's also great, too, the combo of you and I when we do this show together, because I already know you have a couple D-gens just talking ball, so it always goes back to betting. I love your betting references that you're giving me. International games, too. I'm looking at the slate here.
Yeah.
Obviously, all the hype around week 1 because that's going to be in Brazil. But I'm jumping down to week 11. Commanders, Dolphins in Madrid, Spain. Bro, I mean, first of all, it's in Spain. That's dope. Secondly, Dolphins and Commanders, 2 teams that you think are going to be fighting for and vying for wild card berths, playoff berths. So I want to see that. Jaden Daniels against Tua, assuming health for Tua. Of course, we know the history there. That's a big game. I wonder if there's any international games that tickled your fancy. And then my follow-up to that is, do you collect keychains from each place that you travel to in your life? Because I'm looking at 1,000 keychains behind you, and I'm just wondering what's going on there.
First and foremost, the Vikings back-to-back in London. I think that's an interesting experiment by the NFL. They're going to have a team stay out there. They're playing in 2 separate stadiums. I don't know the London geography of the situation, how far they're going to have to travel or whatever, but we're going to see whether or not a team in London has an advantage over the teams traveling out there. They play the Browns in the second game. If they kill the Browns, which they might already do anyway, but if it's embarrassing, then we might not ever see a team in London because it's going to be an issue. And then the keychain situation. So I started collecting them. I moved back here from Texas. So we did a road trip. I picked up like 6 or 7, put them on a small cork board similar to this one right here with a calendar on it. People started seeing them. They started buying them for me. And now I don't buy anything. People buy me keychains, and they filled the collection. This is actually only one of 2. I've got 2 of these boards. The other one's completely full.
You know, people around the office always called you Big Tex, and I never understood. Now I get it. Now it's all coming together. It's all coming together here on Foxborough Rush as well. We'll hear from some players who spoke yesterday. Hey, one of them, a key free agent who came in this offseason. We'll hear about them, all the offseason activities going on with the Patriots. We'll talk about it next on Foxborough Rush. Roll with us. Welcome back into Foxborough Rush. Travis Thomas, Keagan Stiefel. We're breaking it all down as we await for the Patriots schedule to be official tonight. We're getting rumors and all that, but we want the official. So we're waiting on that still for tonight, Keegs. But Patriots players were working out yesterday together, and we had a chance to catch up and get some sound from them. So let's break down this one first. Newest addition, who you loved, by the way, in free agency. You were all on the Milton Williams hype train. Choo-choo, they got him. He spoke yesterday about his new coach, Mike Vrabel, making an impression. Take a listen.
I'd say like the first week, we was out there running, and Coach Vrabel called me out in front of everybody, which I like. So he called me out, let me know like, hey, like you gonna be here. You need to like, set the standard. And after that, it's been like, okay. So I've been trying to make sure I'm doing that every day. Every day I come in, just trying to put my best foot forward and go from there.
Why did he call you out, do you think?
Just instead of like we running and we got time we're supposed to make it in. So I done already like made it on my way back. So I'm kind of like chilling until I get to the line. He's like, nah, like don't let them catch you. Like if you can make it faster, make it. So I'm like, all right. So every rep since then, I've just been trying to make sure I'm the first one back. He want me to just go ahead and just empty the tank every rep. So I like I said, I like that. I don't mind. I don't think I'm bigger than the next person. I don't mind getting called out because he calling me out. That's just gonna help the other guys. We ain't got no excuses for nobody to be, not giving it all. So I don't mind it.
Again, this is a Mike Vrabel experience, isn't it? I mean, calling out guys, holding cats accountable, working out with dudes. I mean, he's rolling up his sleeves. He's getting out there. He's doing drills. This is what Vrabel brings to the table, is it not?
Yeah, it's exactly what he does. I mean, we've heard – I think the whole reason why Patriots fans wanted Mike Vrabel, outside of the fact that he played for the franchise, obviously a franchise legend, was – all the stories you heard from old Titans players. Taylor Lewan and Will Compton, they have a podcast, whatever. They rave about Mike Vrabel.
They do.
And it's been 3 months 4 months since he was hired, 3 months since we've seen him kind of at work. And it's everything you could have hoped for as a Patriots fan, everything we expected, as people who follow the team. We saw the Patriots have an in-house documentary series that they're going to be dropping, Forged in Foxborough. So it's essentially their version of Hard Knocks. And they put out a teaser where he pulls up Caden Wallace, second-year offensive tackle, into the front of the room. And he says, let's count out some steps. And they walk 10 steps together. They walk 10 steps back. And then he says, all right, let me try to get past you. You're an offensive lineman. He pushes on him a little bit, only gets him like 1 or 2 steps back. And his explanation for that, the reason why he did it in front of the team, was saying, see how much easier it is for me to go with you and for me to help you along than to try to push you to get where you're going. And this is a real life example of that with Milton Williams, where he's doing these drills with these guys. And he says, you don't want these guys to catch up to you. You're the highest paid player on the team. You're the stud. You're the star. You need to set an example, and we need to all follow along with you, and it needs to be a group effort. So being able to see somebody say something and then seeing them do it right after is such a great example to set for this team. And I think with the amount of younger players they have, and then the guys that they did sign to these bigger contracts, they're all on the younger side too, right? They're all under 30. Milton Williams is 25. He's going to go get another contract after this one. So you're hoping that by building this culture around these guys, you're able to set an example for the draft picks that you make this year, the draft picks you make next year. And that's how you have a long time, not a dynasty. It doesn't need to be a dynasty, but a 5 to 10 year period where you're competing and you're having success within your division. Yeah,
you're establishing a culture that, you can kind of swap players in and out, but everyone knows the Patriot way, right? I mean, that's what you're speaking to, and you're absolutely right. I also think it speaks to acquiring the right stars in the offseason. It's sometimes as fans and media members, we just sit back and we're like, just go get stars, just go get the best players. Yeah, you can do that, but sometimes you'll have a guy that won't respond well to Vrabel calling you out or putting you on the spot or testing you in front of the other players. So getting a Milton Williams who sort of falls in line with this, they got the right star in here. And by the way, speaking of stars, Milton Williams is going to be better if Christian Barmore is healthy and vice versa. They're going to help each other. Milton Williams spoke about the importance of that as well.
It's been good. Me and him been competing every day, coming in, trying to see. We've been joking with each other, trying to see who we're going to beat each other in and when we come in the morning. But it's been good. Me and him just been having conversations about, the defense going to start and end with what we do up front. And every day we come in, we got to set the tone, and then everybody else going to follow. But it's how me and him to set the table for the defense that we're going to be this year, and we're going to have to carry us throughout the year.
All right, Keegs, you nerd out with this kind of stuff. Go ahead and do it. How good can these two, if they're healthy, Williams and Barmore, be in this defense?
Yeah, I mean, no one is Jalen Carter, right?
Yeah.
So Christian Barmore, for as much as we love him, as much as we think he can be a star defensive tackle in this league, he won't quite be Jalen Carter. But if you can get 80% of that and put it next to Milton Williams, which we know what he can do beside another dominant interior defensive lineman, the sky is the limit for this team, and especially the way they want to play, right? Terrell Williams, the defensive coordinator, has said, we're going to be disruptive. We're not doing two-gap stuff, which we've seen in New England for the last 25 years. We're going to go get after your blank and make you adjust to what we're doing. We're not going to adjust to what you're doing, which has long been the way defense is played, really, in the NFL. But they want to be disruptive. They want to go get after people, and I think they're going to be able to do that. And one of the things that stood out to me just over draft weekend, where Josh Farmer, 4th, 5th round pick, somewhere in the middle rounds, but defensive tackle out of Florida State, the first question he was asked was, how do you fit within this system? And he immediately said, we're going back to the old New England, meaning me, Christian Barmore, Milton Williams, we're going to be dominant defensive linemen. If you think back to that early dynasty era of the Patriots, it was Richard Seymour and Vince Wilfork and, Jarvis Green, even Ty Warren, these guys who they could play all over the defensive line and they could be game changers and they could set the tone for what the defense was. And I think they're going to do that as well with this trio that they've got. Definitely at least Barmore and Milton Williams, because If they can go be disruptive on the front end, these guys on the back end who are pretty damn good, the Christian Gonzalez's, Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, Carlton Davises of the world, they're going to reap the benefits of what these guys are doing up front.
There's no doubt about that. And to your point, I mean, we've seen Milton Williams on a dominant defensive line when he does have someone next to him that can wreak havoc. And we both believe that that will be the case here in New England, although it will look different than it did in Philly,
right.
No doubt. How about this? So wide receiver room. I mean, it leaves a lot left to be desired. I know Stephon Diggs is here and everyone's excited. And he's sitting courtside watching the Celtics lose with his new boo. All that's fine and good. But I still think the wide receiver room still needs to improve. And now, at this point, Keegs, you are what you are. We'll see what they're going to be. They're not going to add any more to it at this point. But one of the names that we're all looking at is Kendrick Bourne. Can you give us a little bit more? Can you stay healthy? Can you finally sort of live up to that potential that we all see that you have? He spoke about that as well on what the fans can expect from him this season.
Just really being conditioned, being trained, having the feel. My awareness was down last year. People being around me, that was my biggest struggle coming back from injury. It was easy to go through the motions when I'm by myself. But then when there's people around you, my awareness it lacked my first few games. And so I hope to be shot out of a cannon when I come out because being in OTAs, being in camp is going to give me that feel. I'll have more awareness. I'll know when to break certain things, how to adjust off of a defender. Those reps are rare, and I never experienced that. So it's just that space I'm in. Going back to what Mike asked me, that space is just unique, and I'm very thankful for it. So no predictions, nothing like that, but I feel good, and coming in with good energy, practicing hard, and you get good results from that.
Shot out of a cannon. I'll just take shot out of a BB gun at this point. Kendrick Bourne last season, I'm looking at the numbers right here. 12 games, 28 grabs, 305 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Keegan, shot out of a cannon. Can we just get a water pistol? Honestly, can you be dribbled out of a nozzle? Like, we need anything from Kendrick Bourne, Keegan. Anything, bro.
I'll say this to play devil's advocate, because I get it and I agree. I think the wide receiver core, if everybody plays to the expectations and even exceeds them, it's still not enough.
No,
you're gonna need to continue to add to this group. But with Kendrick Bourne, the best year of his career came under Josh McDaniels, and Mac Jones was throwing him the football. So if you get Drake May in there, in the same offense, one that he's familiar with. He's a year and a half removed from this ACL surgery. Yeah. Obviously, we've known with wide receivers, the first year they come back, throw it in the trash. Doesn't matter compared to that second year after the fact. And we're going to see the same thing with Stephon Diggs. He's not going to be Stephon Diggs in year one.
Right.
You're hoping the second year of that contract is when you get the value. So with Kendrick Bourne, I think if he can play just to the level that he played to in 2021 in New England under Josh McDaniels, you're happy with that. Because the players around him, Pop Douglas, obviously Kyle Williams, everybody's hoping can be that vertical threat, the guy that they haven't had since Randy Moss left 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You're hoping he can be that. And then you really just need somebody else to step up and be that fourth guy. So based off what we've seen in these exact circumstances, which is Kendrick Bourne's healthy, he gets a full offseason leading into the year. He's playing under Josh McDaniels. He has a young quarterback who's decisive and hopefully meshes well with McDaniels as well as the wide receiver core. You're looking at a really good wide receiver 3, and they're not going to ask him to be anything more than that. So if he can be what we need him to be here in New England, coming from the Patriots, more than happy with that.
Kendrick Bourne went on to talk about that young quarterback, Drake May. He's impressed with the kid. Who isn't? Take a listen.
I think it's kind of the same. The confidence is there. Maybe even more confidence. He's just obviously he's going to be in a new system, so I think he's in that process. He's learning, but the confidence is there. Drake is a competitor. When we do certain things, like his competitive spirit is starting to show more, in my opinion, which I love. Coming out of that shell, he's going to become a vet. So I think that's what he's embracing. He understands. He's familiar with what to expect, what to feel, and that just creates a better, confident quarterback going into year 2.
Look, Keegs, I am expecting a jump here from Drake May from year 1 to year 2, as any fan base should when they have a rookie. No matter how good or bad they are, you should expect more, and you should expect a better version of that player from year 1 to 2. Doesn't mean it happens all the time, but the expectations are there, and I'm certainly anticipating that. I will say this. I am not comparing Drake May to Tom Brady, okay? But we watched Tom for years. We watched Tom for years, Keegan, not have the greatest wide receiver room you ever seen. And he was so great, he was able to elevate the entire room and in a lot of ways put a Band-Aid on it, right? Because it was terrible. Yeah. So Drake May, year 1 to year 2, although I'm not expecting Tom Brady treatment around here, I am looking to see, is there an inkling of that? Is there any way Drake May, in year 2 of his young, budding superstar career, is there a way he can elevate not so great receivers? Because I did see it. I saw flashes of it in his rookie year. But, you know, in year 2, can it be consistent? Can you do it over a larger sample size? So we'll be watching all season to see if that's the case with Drake May and the Patriots. Coming up on Foxborough Rush, though, Keegan, my goodness. We have even more drama now with Chapel Bill and Jordon Hudson. It's like a nightmare love story that none of us...
my hair out.
I know. It's a nightmare love story. All of us want to wake up, and we just can't. We'll do it next on Foxborough Rush. Keep it locked. Welcome back into Foxborough Rush. Boy, we love talking football. We love talking Patriots. But Chapel Bill and his love affair with Miss Jordon Hudson. Keegan, unfortunately, we have to do it.
I know. It's all under, you know, they didn't do anything wrong, guys. She just yelled at the guy for asking the question of how they met, but don't worry about it. It's all kosher. They met when they were both single and both of age, and no one needs to worry about it.
Allegedly. Also, Keegan, I just want you to know, because you love when I troll George, there are several times in Foxborough Rush where, you know, he's cooking me on something. He's cooking me on a topic. This is my crutch I go to now. So whenever George is cooking me, I just yell out, "We're not talking about this. We're not talking about this." And he hates it. It just, it gets him every time. It's the best, Keith.
It's good radio.
It is. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I wish I could say we're not talking about this because it is my least favorite topic in the history of my job.
Same.
I've been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah.
If I have to say the name Jordon Hudson one more time, I'm going to do things that I can't say on TV, so we're going to move on.
Is it Jordon? I've been saying Jordan. Is it Jordan?
I say Jordon because she spells it like Jordan, right? So that's what you get.
Yeah, that's another thing I don't like, but that's another topic for another day. I'm holding a couple quotes here. This, according to Bill, that he has said to his team. He has addressed this whole situation with his team. This is at ACC spring meetings. He says, quote, "It's a personal relationship. She doesn't have anything to do with UNC football," end quote. He goes on to say, "I talked to the players when we met with them. We want to make the players the best they can be and giving them the best opportunities off and on the field." So, you know, you're getting that classic Belichick speech. Here's been my whole thing the whole time, Keegan, and I'm curious your take, because I haven't really talked to you much about this, thank God, but here we are. Keegs, just pick a lane is where I'm at with Bill. What I mean is, your entire career, your whole existence, we've known you as this grumpy, malcontent, you don't talk, you don't give us anything, it's just you hate the media. We're pariahs to you, right? Then, all of a sudden, now you're done in the NFL, you go to college, you have this young girlfriend, not knocking that, but like, bro, now you're loosey-goosey. You're telling all the trade secrets, you're partying, you're taking pictures, there's posts of you on social media. What the hell? Like, it's almost like he went from one extreme to the next, and he should have met somewhere in between, right? It should be like a balance of the two. I just don't like this, like, loosey-goosey Bill, and now you see it, Keegan. He's reeling it back in, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Not like when he was dressed as a fisherman and she was a mermaid. Not that kind of reel. He's reeling it back to the old Belichick of I'm not giving you anything. Like, what are we doing? It's ridiculous.
Trev, I've chosen to take this personally. And that's probably silly because who cares? Why would you take it personally? But 2 years ago, and I'm setting the scene for you.
Okay.
2 years ago, I'm in Foxborough, Massachusetts. 23 years old, bright-eyed, bushy tail, gets to cover the Patriots. I grew up watching the Patriots. What an exciting thing for me.
Yeah.
And at the end of a press conference, I muster up the courage. I'm going to ask Bill Belichick a question.
Oh, boy.
And I asked him about the Chicago Bears. And he looked at me and chuckled and walked off the stage.
He didn't even
Didn't
answer.
answer. Didn't say a word. I thought he liked 23-year-olds. Everything that I've heard from Jordon, he likes 23-year-olds. What's the difference, Trav? Can you tell me the difference between me and her?
I would defend Bill here and say you're out of pocket, but you're not because he's brought this on himself.
He's brought this on himself. And this is the way I look at it. On a serious note, I don't care. He laughed at my question. He did that to a million people. On a serious note, this relationship is gross.
It is.
It's weird.
It's creepy.
It's very creepy. And the fact that it is in the public eye the way it is means that both of them have opened themselves up to criticism.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're not able to handle the criticism that they've gotten. And they've started to twist everything. And it's becoming an invasion of privacy. When the last year and a half, you've been opening yourself up to the public because she's angling for a reality show. He was angling for a job.
Yeah.
They both wanted the Hard Knocks thing because they thought it was going to be good for his brand, which everything that's come out of that is, oh my God, he's letting this child woman combo run his life.
Right.
I think from a point of view of, I watched the Patriots my entire life. I've covered them for the last 5 years. You've covered his entire career in New England, essentially, right? You've been there for all of it. To say that you respect him less, would that be too far?
No, I don't. I think a lot of people feel that way.
And I don't think it's unfair.
Yeah.
Because he went from making his entire, personality and image one thing. And the only thing that has changed since he's made these alterations to his image is seeing a young woman. And I think that's weird. I think it's kind of gross and icky. And I can't respect somebody who was so adamant about being one thing and they've allowed somebody else to change, everything about it moving forward. And at this stage of his career where, he lost his job in New England and he's tried to say that it was a mutual decision, and you can say that all you want, but he was going to get fired even if it wasn't a mutual decision. Yeah. The NFL does not want him. He's not going to go and get that wins record like everybody thought he will.
No.
And he's grasping on to the one place that would have him at UNC, and even them, I don't think they're interested in keeping him around beyond one season if they do, because June 1st.
That's right.
The buyout's $1 million.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing, UNC can afford $1 million to get rid of this headache if they want to.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next. Pablo Torre is the opposite of you and I. He loves talking about this stuff. He can't get enough. He talks about it on his podcast constantly. And he raised that very thing that you're saying. Here's a quote. I think there's a chance, an absolute real chance, he doesn't make it to week 1 with UNC. And the reason I say that, this is Pablo Torre, is because even though Jordon Hudson has become a public thing, even before it got messy from backstage to now, it's messy everywhere. That date that matters the most is the one you brought up, June 1st, because that's when UNC can opt out of this if that's what they want. I personally don't believe that's going to happen, Keagan. In fact, I think that's part of the reason why Bill, again, reeling it back into football now. Like, I'm a football coach. Let me get out of the TMZ headlines. Let me make sure I secure this bag, because all this stuff that we're doing publicly, Jordon and I, could cost me this job. So let me fall back and relax, which is why I was telling you. And I hear you on the age gap thing. I get it. It's creepy. It's gross. But I don't judge people. Like, if you want to do that, and as long as it's legal, what do I care? But my thing is, where I do judge, is don't give me this grumpy malcontent guy forever, and that's how I know you. And then now you have this young girlfriend and you're acting completely out of character and completely different. That's when I say, okay, come on, like, what are we doing here? It's not so much that it's a young girlfriend, although gross, Keegs. It's not so much of that. It's just like how he's done this complete turnaround. Do you believe in the end, UNC, he'll be the head coach week 1? I do.
Yeah, no, I do as well.
Okay.
And I think the the reason this June 1st date has been brought up, beyond just me and you and I, is it's a little bit of a, hey, listen, don't forget. If we as UNC, as the Tar Heels, if we want to get rid of your ass, we can. And we'll do it today. On June 1st, the second we can. So I think it's been a little bit of a, remember who you're dealing with and remember who's really in charge.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much for Bill, but for Jordon. Because she has presented herself as somebody who, has control over his image and his life. And by UNC, by having people float out the June 1st date, maybe that's a little bit of a reminder to her as well. You won't have as much of a platform if he doesn't have this job. So remember that. And I will say, sad news coming out of Maine. 3rd place.
Oh.
It's tough.
Aren't you? You're just a troll, aren't you? I mean, bro,
it's a sad moment.
I wrote down 2 quotes from you now that are it's just fantastic. The best one was, I thought Bill liked 23-year-olds. And then the second one I wrote down was just the Jordon pronunciation. Like, now you're taking shots at the Miss Maine competition. I got to tell you, Pablo Torre, if you're watching Foxborough Rush, I think Keegs needs to come on your show because you're just letting him fly. But good for you. I understand why you're taking all this personal. I would too in your position, my friend.
No,
I salute your pettiness.
Before we go to break, if I can be very serious, because a lot of this, it's funny. It's a funny thing that's happening right now with him. But to be 100% serious, I think that his legacy, the thing that we've heard his family is worried about, is being tarnished by the second.
Yeah.
So for however long he's in this relationship, at least in the public eye, it'll continue to move in that direction. And I think it's a really sad thing because in terms of a football coach or even a sporting coach, I don't think anybody was respected more than him. And we've clearly lost that as a public.
No doubt. All right, coming up here on Foxborough Rush, Keegan and I hear from you. That's right, you. You were all in our comment section on YouTube. We're going to get to it to wrap the show up next. Roll with us. Foxborough Rush. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Foxborough Rush. This is my favorite part of the show, Keegan, because this is when people usually call me out. Like the last time someone was like, Travis hates kickers. He said they're not important. Not what I said. I said they're not real football players, and that's a fact. Okay, so now let's get to the YouTube comments now. NEPat24 says, here we go, Keegan. So any coach who is unable to physically get involved with players sucks. SMDH. Shaking my damn head. Here we go. Keegan, this is my fault. All I was saying is that Mike Vrabel is famous amongst NFL players. You talked about this earlier in the show, how he rolls up his sleeves. He'll do a drill with you. You talked about how he tested a guy if he's in the weight room in the offseason by, can you push me or not? This is what he does. All I was saying, he's a unique coach in that. Maybe outside of like a Dan Campbell, who's a meathead, most of these coaches aren't doing all that. So I was giving Vrabel props and saying how uniquely equipped he is for this job and others because of that skill set, because of that trait, which I admire. And now my man NEPat24 is saying any coach that doesn't do that sucks. Is that what you mean, Travis? No. I mean, how hard is it to figure out? I tell you exactly what I mean. Keegan can vouch. He's known me long enough. You know where you stand with me. There is no read between the lines with me, okay? I tell you exactly what I mean. I think this is cool that Vrabel does that. It doesn't mean every other coach sucks.
This is like an example that you see in everyday life. You can have something about you that's good, but it doesn't mean that people who don't have it's bad for them.
Thank you.
I think that's just common sense. We should start using common sense more before we start commenting on YouTube videos.
Amen.
Just my thought.
Papa Bray 619 says Campbell's voice. So I'm assuming he's talking about Will Campbell here. Campbell's voice sounds like a weathered coach, not a young rookie player. I need to hear it. I need to hear it. Can we hear Will Campbell's voice?
Yeah, I'm surprised there's trees. Before I had never been anywhere up here before, so I always thought, this was a little bit closer to Boston, and it was a bunch of big city buildings and stuff like that. So when I got out here and they picked me up from the airport, I said, dang, there's a lot of trees out here. I wasn't expecting that.
Papa Bray 619, I'll be damned. You're right. He sounds like a weathered veteran coach who's been here, done that for years, doesn't he, Keith?
I have to just jump. That's just Louisiana. I got family in Louisiana. I've got a grandmother who sounds kind of like that. You know what I mean? It's just the twang. It's the you can't get
Was
it out.
that it right
That's what
there?
It sounds like.
Was that it?
It's like you can't get what you're trying to say out, but you eventually do. It's tough. It's hard. It's not a great look for a 23-year-old, as we've talked about.
Can we send this clip to your family down there? Because they're going to hate what you just did. What?
You know what? I'll get, shout out Nana Faye. We're going to get her on video. Next time I'm on, we'll get her accent on here.
So everyone from down there sounds like Coach Ed O, basically. Coach Ed Ogeron, right? Like they all
If
sound
you're from the
way.
Bayou, you've got that. It's the coach from Waterboy.
Right.
I don't know what he just said.
Right.
Sounds good, though. Didn't know there were trees.
You gotta love this show, I tell you what. For Travis Thomas and Keagan Stiefel, we thank you. Even for the comments that take shots at me, keep them coming, baby. We love you here on Foxborough Rush. Till next time, when we see you again, peace.